Comfort food provides consolation or a feeling of well-being associated with nostalgia. It is a meal that you have eaten thousands of times, but that doesn't matter. You're going to eat it again because it makes you feel safe and warm and brings back good memories. So where am I going with this? Am I going to start reviewing food on this channel? No. Besides making myself hungry, my point is that in one of my recent top 10s, I talked about backlog games that I want to get to, but I keep playing other games. One of the reasons that backlog is so big is because I tend to replay certain games from year to year, every year. Sometimes I take a little break from them, but I always seem to come back for more at some point. They are comfort games, and for one reason or another, I cannot seem to get these games out of my system. This is a list of 12 games, in no particular order, that I can't stop playing. This is Preacher Gamer's list of comfort games. Get the obvious one out of the way first. It's Star Ocean 2. And y'all knew Star Ocean 2 was going to be this list because it's literally all over my channel right now. By the end of this year, I will play this game 3 times. I've played the remake, and now I'm playing the original and the PSP remaster at the same time for a future retrospective. This game so dominates my channel right now that I'm not going to spend any time really talking about it. But it definitely qualifies for this list. The question is, why? The 80 plus endings, 2 playable campaigns certainly do not hurt. But mainly, I like the concept as a whole. I also like the battle system, the crafting mechanics, and just the general design and feel of the game. Again, I don't want to talk too much because, like I said, we talk about this game all the time. And you guys see a lot of it. But this is a game that has been on my regular replay list for some time, along with its prequel and sequel. And I really couldn't do a list like this without mentioning it. A game that hasn't been on the channel very much yet, and that's something I'd like to change in the future, is Wind Waker. So in 2006, I was working nights at a chemical plant as a QC tester and a chemist. On my days off, it was easier to stay up all night, even though I was not working, to maintain a consistent sleep schedule. I would sit on the couch while my wife and newborn daughter slept. My wife would lay on the couch, and I would hold my daughter on one of those boppy pillows and play Wind Waker all night. I would explore the sea, discover islands, slay monsters, take pictures, and have miniatures crafted. And if I finished the game, because everybody was sleeping, I just would start a new file and play again. Playing this game today takes me back in time in a way few games can really replicate. It is one of the few games that I will pick up an old save file that I haven't played on for years and then just start playing it and then put it down and then come back a few months later and pick right up where I've left off, because I never feel lost whenever I pick it up and play it because I know it so well. Almost play it with my eyes closed. It comes back like muscle memory, and it's a game, no matter what, I will always own in some form and replay again and again. I really need to play it on the channel someday soon. Maybe it'll be a vote coming up. Mario 3. I played and reviewed this game on the channel recently, so again, I'll be brief. But this game takes me back to college. I had a GBA copy of it back then and played it all the time, everywhere I went. I'll put a link of the review in the description, but to be brief, it's my all-time favorite 2D Mario game. Mario 64 should get an honorable mention here, as I wanted to keep this list to just one game per franchise, but if that rule wasn't in here, Mario 64 would also definitely be on this list. Otherwise, this list would also be like 20 games long. I love 64 as much as 3, but in the end, I've just played 3 more often, so I decided to include it here instead. Kingdom Hearts 2. My youngest child is named Kyrie. That's how much of an effect this game has had on me over the years. Like Wind Waker, it was a go-to game during those long nights when I was up trying to stay awake for work. But in my mind, I associated this game in particular with my son, my second child. He did not sleep well the first year, but for whatever reason, Dearly Beloved, if we played that song, I had the soundtrack on CD. If we played that song at night, he would calm down and he'd go to sleep. Our whole family slept to this song for literally years, and it cemented itself and this game into our lives. In addition to nostalgia, this game just rocks. I like the combos, I like the fast combat, I like the movement tech, I like how it opens up for you as you play. I love the drive forms, I love the story, I platinumed it on the PS4 a few years ago, and lately I've been itching to dive back into it again. May have to break this game out for the channel before too long as well. Metroid Fusion. Really, every Metroid game should be here on this list. I play through the entire series at least once a year, but if I had to say which one I've replayed the most, it would definitely be Fusion. Mainly it's because it's the one I've owned the longest. I also have a review of this game on my channel, so I'll be brief again. But another factor that makes it replayable is the linearity that many people critique it for. The game is easy to pick up and play, even when you're busy or only get a few short moments to play or can play in short bursts. You can take long breaks from it, but you can always come back and know where you're at and what you're doing. This just means that even when my life has been really busy, I've been able to make time for it, where I can't make time for all the other games that I want to get into. It's a great game that continues the legacy of the incredible Super Metroid, carrying it on into the future. Sonic 2. Growing up, I had a Super Nintendo and my brother had a Genesis. Of all the games he had, this one was my favorite. Sonic 3 and Knuckles plus Mania are better in every way, but I just have a soft spot for this one that I can't deny. My brother and I would play it co-op, swapping the controllers back and forward when one of us got stuck. But the great thing is that whenever he was in the lead, I could still play, or vice versa, because of Tails. Sonic games just have a different feel to everything else. The colors, soundtrack, and speed just can't really be fully imitated, although many people have tried and some have come close. I have put it on the platform list a few times on the vote on the channel for a game to play, but this is another game I would love to talk about on the channel one of these days, so we'll see if it comes up in the future. DKC2. Speaking about my childhood, this is the game we were playing together when my brother passed away. I have a video about this game on my channel as well as a couple of Let's Plays on it, so I'll be brief here as well. I know I keep saying that, but I don't want to talk too much about some of these games that I've already covered. But this game is one of my favorites of all time, and I play it every year to remember my brother and our time together. The platforming, level design, music come together to create the quintessential 16-bit platformer. I'm not very good at this game, but I don't care. I just really like the game. Nintendo's rail shooter is so much fun and infinitely replayable that I'll often just pull it off the shelf, beat it in a single evening, and go to bed with a massive smile on my face. And I replay the game at least once a year. The comm chatter is iconic and never gets old. The mechanics and presentation hold up and are showcasing the full power of the N64. There's a remake on the 3DS, but I have always preferred playing the original. It's just good arcade-style fun, and Nintendo at its finest. Front Mission 3. I really can't explain why I replay this game so much. The 2 full campaigns are a plus, but that's not really what brings me back. I like mecha as a genre, but there are other games in the genre that I have played that do not bring me back like this one. I love RPGs, but strategy RPGs are not really my favorite type. The story's presentation is pretty basic and the translation is kind of a mess, but I love playing this game. The battle mechanics and systems just never get old to me, and even though I just beat it, writing this list makes me want to play it again. I have a review and a retrospective on this channel that are both related to this game, so I will link it below if you want to see more. The remake that they announced a few years ago for 2023 and didn't come out in 2023, it just can't get here fast enough for me. Chrono Trigger. It's perfect. Just perfect. It's one of the best games I've ever played. And even to this day, I'm not sure if there's really any way to improve it. People are always calling for a remake. I don't think it even really needs one. Recently, I got my first physical copy of the game ever, and I am so stoked to own an SNES version, finally. Shout out to my mother for finding it in a box she picked up for about $75 recently. If you want to see what else she grabbed in that box, I have a link to my Preacher Classics channel. You can watch the video there where I unpackage everything and do some cleaning. This is another game that I want to review one day on the channel. Sometimes I just pull it off the shelf and play through the opening. just to get a taste of it again. Before long, though, I'm hours later and I'm blazing through the game. Add in a New Game Plus feature, and you have a perennial classic with multiple endings and endless options. And now for something totally different. Gran Turismo 4. I love cars, and I've often said that if cars were cheaper, I would collect them instead of video games. This game allows me to live out my early 2000s fantasy of buying and racing all my dream cars from my childhood. It's billed as a simulator racing game. I liken it to a car RPG. You start with a wad of cash, and you must buy a car to race. You earn money, you get a better license, you buy more cars, you keep racing. You can also play B-Spec mode, and I haven't ever heard anybody talk about this game in general, but especially not the B-Spec mode. In this mode, you can grind for money by letting AI race for you, and you manage the racer like a pit crew chief. This might seem boring or tedious, but you can speed up time to win races faster, and then you just collect the more money, and then you can buy more cars with the money so that you can drive the cars you want to drive. There are events from 3 laps to all the way to 24 hours. Yeah, real-time 24-hour events. What I used to do is I'd buy a classic car that was really fast, and then I would set up a 24-hour race with a big cash prize. Some of the cash prizes are like $500,000 or even $1 million. And then I would start the race, put it on fast speed, and then go to bed. And in the morning, I would have $500,000 to spend on my cars. I'm not usually a racing game fan, but I love the depth of mechanics this game provides, and I love putting in the skill to learn to play it. I've tried other entries in the series, but 4 is my favorite by far. I don't think it's for everybody, but this game feels like it was made for me. And last but not least is UN Squadron. I've had this game for years, and I pull it down often, and I just play as far as I can get and then put it back on the shelf for a while. I've never beaten it, and I might never beat it, honestly, but I just like trying, and year after year I get a little bit further. I get a little bit better at the game. It does not hurt that I really like the music, and even sitting here writing this list, I can hear the songs playing in my head. I don't know if I will ever put it on the channel as a series of review because, like I said, I haven't been able to beat it yet. But I know I'll keep pulling it off the shelf to see if I can get a bit farther next time. So that's my list of games that keep my backlog from getting done. Like that list, expect to see these games on the channel in the future, and let me know what your list looks like in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.